Hey, Dave Frary here. Welcome to this edition of the Trackside Modeler. This video features Albert Rademacher, the man who invented Silfloor, showing us how he carves styrofoam to make good-looking foam rocks. The tools he uses are simple: blocks of styrofoam stacked to make a rock formation, and an ordinary kitchen steak knife. It may look like he's jabbing and stabbing the foam at random, but he has a plan. He's going to create fault lines in the rock face while removing the smooth foam surface. After the surface is shaped roughly, he'll go back and create the forms of individual rocks.
First is the wall structure, and then you need a sandpaper.
The next step is to take a piece of sandpaper and run it over the foam surface to remove all the loose pieces. As you can see, there's a lot of foam scraps created during the carving process. Albert is going to scoop them all up and save them to make loose rocks with. Now that he's carved the rough shapes he likes, Albert is going to refine the carving process and make individual rock faces. As I said before, he saves all of the styrofoam scraps to use as rocks and rubble later on in the project. The cement that Albert is using is called Tessa, and it's like a liquid airplane cement. The closest cement I can find in the United States that's similar to Tessa is made by Beacon Adhesives. There is Beacon 3-in-1 Advanced Craft Glue and Fabri-Tac, and as far as I can tell, both 3-in-1 and Fabri-Tac are exactly the same. Albert uses this cement like it was a contact cement. He puts some on a surface, and then he pushes the two pieces together and kind of pulls them apart several times until you get long stringy wisps of glue, and then he pushes them back together, holds them in place for a few seconds, and you have an almost permanent bond. Now Albert is squeezing the Tessa glue into the crack between the two pieces of styrofoam. What he's going to do, he's added enough glue there to hold some of the foam scraps. As you can see, he's putting them in there with his hand and kind of smushing them around and making sure that they're all stuck into the glue. After a few minutes, he'll let the glue dry, and then he'll tip the diorama over and let the pieces that didn't stick to the glue fall out. Now Albert takes a large nail file, which is nothing more than a stick with sandpaper on both sides of it, and he smooths out the land areas, the areas that are going to just be dirt. Now the final pieces are assembled to make sure everything fits, and when Albert is satisfied, he's going to glue some of the detail pieces, like some of the loose stones, in place. And everything will be ready to create the stone bridge, which is next. It may look like Albert's sanding the surface of the bridge, but he's not. He's actually using a piece of sandpaper to rough up the foam a little bit so that when he carves his stone bridge in place, it will have some surface texture. Albert is just using a soft lead pencil to make stone indentations in the foam. and you'll see he's actually just drawing a stone bridge onto the foam, but he's doing it with a little bit of force so that there's some texture on the surface of the stones. Here he's using the back of the pencil to add even more texture to the surface before he actually draws each stone in. And what he's doing, he's created an uneven surface, and you can see in the close-up how the back of the pencil has kind of scratched the foam and put indentations in it. These will be incorporated into the stone wall and become part of the texture of the wall. You'll notice an interesting thing. Albert is doing this all freehand. And when it comes time to draw the stones on the top of the wall, he's going to draw a line. It's going to be pretty parallel. And then each individual stone is drawn in, as you can see here. And now Albert is putting some finishing touches on the stone wall. He's taking the pencil and just distressing random stones here and there. The painting techniques that Albert uses are very interesting. The painting of the diorama is a 2-day process. He first starts by spraying and brushing on just a black pigment. This would be the same kind of pigment that you'd buy if you're in a paint store and you were looking for a tint. It comes in tubes, and it's the same type of material that you find in a paint mixing machine. And what Albert does, he mixes the black pigment with water and a bit of dishwashing detergent to make something he can spray onto the foam. The foam absorbs the black, and it helps to color the complete surface. After this dries, he's going to move on and color it some more, but the black provides a base coloring for the project. Here, Albert is using dilute white glue, and he's painting it on all of the flat surfaces of the diorama. Over the glue, he's going to sprinkle a fine sand mixture, which will be the earth texture for the flat parts of the diorama. Now he's taken a little glue on a paintbrush, and he's just touching up a few areas where I think he missed when he was brushing it on the first time around.
So if there looks the pink,
Yeah.
so can correct it.
Albert is using a dark color called anthracite to touch up some of the pink spots where you could see the foam peeking through the black. He's using Graphic Arts spray paint. This is a foam compatible paint that's available in graphic arts stores, craft stores, and some hobby shops. The next color Albert's using is a brown, and you'll notice that he sprays the paint from all different angles. What he's interested in doing is just hitting the highlights of the rocks, the very tops of the rock surfaces with the different colors. And you'll see him use a lot of colors here. And I think that the variety of color is one of the secrets to the realism of these rock formations. The next color that Albert is using is yellow. Now, you may not think yellow is a good rock color, but when it's combined with the other paints that he's going to spray on here, it makes for very realistic results. Now Albert is lightening up the rocks with an overspray of white. This is just a light spray just to hit the highlights of the rocks. While the finishing touches are being applied here to the diorama, you'll notice that Albert is working over an industrial strength spray booth. This booth is capable of taking all of the fumes and pulling them down through a filter and then sending the air outside. It allows him to spray paint indoors and not be able to smell fumes or breathe fumes from the paint. As a last step, the sections of the diorama are being assembled. You'll see Albert's using the liquid cement as a contact cement. He puts some on each surface and he pushes them together and gets everything in perfect alignment, and then goes away and allows the cement to dry. Now all he needs to do after the glue dries is to add the greenery, to put the piece of track in, and his diorama will be finished. So that's it. That's how Albert makes pink styrofoam look like rocks. Thanks for watching. This is Dave Furry saying, see you later.